Okay, so I just have my onion peels in some water, and I'm going to turn that on and let it simmer for probably a couple of hours. And then we will use it on some paper. Here is my avocado. It's been simmering. I just did the peeling and the pit. It's been simmering for a couple of hours, so I'm going to go ahead and color some paper with that. So I'm going to start out using the avocado mortar that I had simmering there for a couple of hours. And these little pans, I picked these up at Walmart, and they're the perfect size for coffee dyeing or tea dyeing or even avocado dyeing, onion dyeing, whatever color, whatever you're going to be using. They're just perfect for these 8.5 by 11 sheets of just plain old HP copy paper. I just make sure that there's plenty of the solution in the bottom of the pan, and then I just start placing the papers down and make sure that they're pressed down against one another. And here you can see I'm just adding to what's already in there, just making sure that the full paper is saturated. And then I just pour the excess out, and I'm going to put it in the oven. I have a convection oven. I put it on 300. It automatically brings it down 25 degrees. So although I set it for 300, I don't know if it cooks at 275. Anyway, as long as it's between 2 and 300, I think it's good, and you won't have to worry about the edges and it, burning. Although that's a neat look, I particularly prefer it when they don't have the burnt look on them. This is some cherry blossoms powder that I bought from Amazon. And I was making some tea to, just a cup of tea to drink while I was dyeing these papers. And I noticed that it turned my tea really pink. So I was like, I wonder if this would color paper. So this is what I'm doing now. I'm just going to add a little bit more of the powder. It's pure cherry blossoms. And just add a little bit more to give it a little bit more strength. And they turn out really pretty. So here you can see I am just adding more paper. You'll be able to tell how many pages you can add based on the amount of solution that you have. You just want to make sure that each page gets saturated really good. I usually don't dye a lot of papers all at once. So I probably ended up putting maybe 6 or 7. I'll count them after we're done, and we'll know how many I actually was able to use in that little bit of water. But yeah, these papers turn out really pretty. So once those are fully saturated, I'm just adding more. Oh, that little bit of, it doesn't take much, right? So you can get quite a few pages out of just a little bit of the solution. I even had some left over. And so I'm going to put those in the oven with the other avocado ones, and then they will probably be in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes at that temperature. Now here is the onion skin ones, and I'm going to basically do those the same way. And I just make sure there's some solution. This was a little bit warm, so I wasn't sure if I could use my hands. So I at this point still hadn't felt the temperature of the water, so I was going to use this wooden spoon to keep from burning my hand, but it wasn't very effective, and so I think I brave it and test to see how warm the water is here. At some point ended up using my hands anyway. Yeah, right here. I realized that it wasn't really that hot at all. So I'm just making sure each page is really well set. I was really surprised at how orange this water turned out. And it was probably just the skin off of maybe just the outside skin, off of a couple of those big onions. Just the leftover skins like that are in the bag when you buy onions. And I think I keep wanting to call it coffee dye, but I think I dyed quite a few of these too because I had quite a bit of solution. I actually tossed some of the avocado solution away. I didn't use all of it, but I did use all the onion. It's really interesting that the avocado solution turns out more of a pinkish hue than a green. I would have thought it would be green, but it was more of a pink color. Here, I'm just realigning that page. You want to make sure that the papers are all lined up. I think the more it sits out over the edge of the pan, the more risk there is of the edges burning. So I just make sure they're all within the same area. So you'll see here I'm going the extra mile to make sure that there's none sticking out over the edge. I'm just getting them all lined up. And you can tell how saturated they are. They're not like super wet, but they're wet enough that if you handle it really rough, it will break apart. And so you can see I have my oven set on 275, and I'm just going to sit these in here. The other papers are already done, and then those will be in there for about 30, I think it was like 32 minutes, and this is how it looks when it comes out, when they're ready. They're just like all puffed up, kind of like a puff pastry actually. So yeah, and then we'll take that out. And I just wanted you to be able to see what it looks like when they're ready. My dog Max thought I was baking food, so he was in there with me. But yeah, they're pretty much all dry. There was a few of them that was still damp a little bit in the middle, and I just tossed them back in the oven. I had already turned the oven off, but it's still warm from baking. So I just tossed those few sheets that were still felt damp in the middle. I just tossed them onto the rack, and by the time I was through showing all the different papers, they were dry. So it doesn't really take a long time. And you don't have to worry about, I literally iron my papers after I'm finished with them to get most of that wrinkle out. So there, that one you can see is still a little bit damp in the middle. So I just toss them in the oven because it's still warm enough in there from baking that there was another one. There was 3 of them that I tossed it back in there. And so there are the onion skin ones. I've got quite a few of those. And then these are the avocado ones. They have more of a pinkish hue, reddish hue. Hue is what I'm trying to say. And then these are the cherry blossom ones. I just love that pink, that really bright, sweet pink color. And so here you can see, I'm going to line them up so you can see the different levels of color in each one. It's a variety of colors. And that's pretty much it.